Is West Dakota Fox News at 9 with Molly Martinez and meteorologist Henry Blakes. Your first news of the night starts right now on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
Good evening, I'm Molly Martinez. Tonight, a political shakeup is rattling Lincoln. A petition is calling for the resignation of 3 top-ranking city leaders. Less than an hour ago, dozens of community members gathered to talk about the city's future. A future that now might not include City Council President Irvin Fisher or Council members John Amman and Karen Daly.
As they've shown a history of a lack of interest of serving the actual community versus their own self-interests. There's a history with Mr. Amman where he's showed a negativity towards our PD in particular.
Community members say they will continue collecting signatures door to door. They hope to have a couple hundred on board by February 8th. That's the next City Council meeting. Over now to meteorologist Henry Blakes for a look at our very chilly forecast. Thanks, Henry. These freezing temperatures are taking an unexpected toll on emergency response. For firefighters in the state, a big concern is keeping their equipment from freezing. Department is trying to rotate shifts to keep crew members warm. Also, fighting fires with water quickly turns to fighting fires with ice.
On a day like today, we do carry onboard water in these trucks, so we have to keep that water circulating. And once you start flowing water out of a hose line, like the driver will have to be real careful to make sure that the guy that's running that hose doesn't completely close that off. Otherwise, that water is going to freeze in that hose.
Rasmussen says winter is more fire prone than other seasons because of fireplaces, furnaces, and wood-burning stove. Well, this weather is proving to be a challenge for the Public Works Department. All last week, the department was busy clearing roads here in Bismarck. According to Superintendent Keith Glass, they have to wait until the snowfall is done to avoid having to replow.
When we're out plowing, give us time, give us time to do our job so you people get home safe and so we get home safe. We're out there to making the roads as safe as we possibly can, and that's just give us a little break.
Glass said his crew was prepared for the storm, and before the snow fell, they brined the streets. For an update on roadways that are plowed, you can check out a map on bismarcknd.gov. Well, speaking of the cold and snow, some children in the Bismarck school system are dressing for the weather they want instead of the weather they have. Cynthia McLaughlin went to find out what schools are doing about it.
The guards say it's ultimately the parents' responsibility to make sure the kids are appropriately dressed when they leave the house and hop out of the car. But for the days when it slips your mind, if you have any outgrown winter clothing, you can donate it to the school for kids to borrow.
Well, the debate is over for who will handle emergency dispatch in Oliver County. Tonight, we're learning Mercer County will continue to provide service. Oliver County has been exploring the possibility of joining the state radio system as a way to save money. Oliver and Mercer have worked together since 1995. Oliver County Commissioner Daryl Berger says that relationship played a part in the new deal.
For quite a number of years, and we just after a lot of discussion, we decided that right now there was a better choice, and we did negotiate a little bit better price with them. So that was one of the biggest concerns that we had was pricing.
Berger hopes the deal will be finalized in February. In health news, the FDA is taking codeine cough syrup away from kids. The FDA put their highest warning on the medicine, saying that the risks are greater than the potential benefits. The label changes will prohibit doctors from prescribing the medication to children.
There are certain children that can metabolize the codeine through the liver, creating too much morphine in their system. That can depress their respiratory system and even cause death.
The new label also warns adults about the risks of misuse, abuse, and addiction. On the energy front, the number of oil rigs in the state is on the rise. Last year alone, 19 new rigs have opened up. According to the Petroleum Council, the price of oil has Wall Street interested in our state. They say that every dollar per barrel that the price increases equals about $74 million per biennium for the state of North Dakota.
Potentially going to hit some records sometime this winter or this spring. So those are good things for the state of North Dakota's budget. Good things certainly for mineral owners and interested owners across western North Dakota and those communities that rely on those dollars to pay for their infrastructure.
Ness says that the price of oil is now predicted to be $15 higher per barrel than what the state budget anticipated. Well, big news out of the Supreme Court. They've officially decided to revisit Quill versus North Dakota. In 1992, they ruled that if a business doesn't have a brick and mortar presence in North Dakota, they don't have to collect sales tax. But because of internet sales, the landscape of commerce has changed drastically. Tax Commissioner Ryan Rauschenberger estimates that the state could be losing upwards of $45 million a biennium as a result. Even if the Supreme Court chooses not to overrule, there's still another option.
The Supreme Court right now is the best option. And if that does not happen, there's always the opportunity to go the congressional legislative route again to get it changed there.
According to court documents, dozens of organizations have filed amicus briefs hoping to get the decision overturned. That includes interested parties like the American Farm Bureau, booksellers, and senators, including Heidi Heitkamp. Online companies like Wayfair and Overstock have filed opposition briefs holding that Quill will hold up. According to the lawyers we spoke with, we'll probably see a decision by spring. Well, a feel-good story out of Northwest Dakota tonight. A Crosby couple has managed to love and honor each other in sickness and in health for over 7 decades. Reporter Jamisha Lead found their secret to a long and happy marriage.
75 years with the same woman is a long, long, long time.
Meet Edie and Ken, an older couple that shares an unbreakable bond since they were young.
She's just a wonderful wife.
For nearly 4 years, the couple has lived at the St. Luke's Crosby Care Center, a city where they first laid eyes on each other.
We met really about our junior year in Crosby. And in our senior year, I think she was the queen and I think I was the king.
Soon after the two took a chance on love, they got married in Plentywood, Montana. With 5 children to raise, there was nothing the couple couldn't face.
I says, Edie, I'll take care of the money problem around here, and we had a home already, and I'll take care of the money problem, and you be sure that you're home about 10 minutes to 4.
With 12 grandchildren and 15 great-grandchildren, they are extremely grateful with the amount of love they've been getting.
I don't know how happier we could be, right?
What?
I say I don't know how happier we could be as we are today. Yeah.
Edie is a woman of few words, but says having a sense of humor is what keeps the relationship going.
I love you. You gonna give me a kiss?
And though they both had their disagreements in the marriage, overall,
it was good.
Love can conquer many things.
I don't know how lucky I could be.
Especially when that means spending the rest of your life with your best friend. Reporting for West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm Jamisha Lyde.
Hundreds of Haitians gathered in West Palm Beach today to protest against President Trump, who's staying at Mar-a-Lago. They're demanding an apology from the commander-in-chief after he allegedly made disparaging comments about Haiti in a private Oval Office meeting this week. Well, a Fargo Chick-fil-A is in hot water tonight after kicking out a woman for breastfeeding her baby. Macy Hornung went to the opening of the Fargo restaurant Friday. When she started feeding her child without a cover, the manager asked her to leave. Hornung cited North Dakota's breastfeeding laws, which make it legal to do so in public.
That each mother has the right to choose what is best for her and her child. You're doing nothing wrong.
Chick-fil-A later apologized for the incident. Well, if you've traveled through O'Hare International Airport last week, you may have been exposed to measles. The Illinois Department of Public Health says a passenger was infectious when he arrived at the Terminal 5 on Wednesday, January 10th. Officials say people may have been exposed if they were at the O'Hare Airport between 6:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. on Wednesday, January 10th. Measles symptoms include rash, high fever, cough, runny nose, and red, watery eyes. If you were exposed, symptoms may take until late January to appear. Well, a D.C. Metro train derailed this morning on the commute. It happened near the Farragut North station. About 60 passengers on board were evacuated safely. No reports on any injuries and no word on what caused that derailment. Some wild video to show you out of Southern California. You can see a car jump a median and crash into the second floor of a dentist office. Look at this. This is in Santa Ana. The sedan's front half ended up wedged inside the building while the back half hung out about 10 feet above the sidewalk. Investigators say 2 people were inside the vehicle. Both survived. Investigators say the driver of the car admitted to using narcotics before the crash. More car trouble, this time in Maine. Ice jams are causing freezing floods in low-lying areas of Kennebec County. About a dozen cars are now encased in ice. We've got some icy cars here too, Henry, but not that bad.
Yeah, not that bad. Icy and snowy all around.
Welcome back. On what would have been his 89th birthday, hundreds marched to the streets of downtown Phoenix to honor the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The walk began at Pilgrim Rest Baptist Church. Men and women of all ages participated. The march ended in a festival honoring the legacy of Dr. King. A similar celebration in San Antonio, Texas. Organizers say thousands joined in the 3-mile march to Pittman Sullivan Park. This year marks Reverend Dr. King's actual birthday. It also marks 50 years since his assassination. In Atlanta, Georgia, parishioners of the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church congregated to honor Dr. King. This is the same church where MLK served as pastor. Meantime, in Washington, President Trump taking heat on this Martin Luther King Day for remarks many are still calling racist. Fox News correspondent Doug McElway has more from Washington.
It's MLK Day, and across the country, Americans are gathering to remember the legacy of the late civil rights icon with services, speeches, and a call to action. But in the midst of a fierce debate over immigration, it was hard for some to put aside politics. Dr. King's oldest son, Martin Luther King III, accusing the White House of turning the American dream into a nightmare, specifically referencing the president's controversial remarks on immigration from Central America and Africa.
You have a president who says things but has the power to execute and create racism. That's a dangerous power and a dangerous position.
President Trump has since denied allegations he used profanity to describe those countries and released his own message praising Dr. King's legacy. But his critics say the president's language isn't the issue.
I don't believe the majority of Americans agree with the president, whichever word is used. I don't believe that a majority of the Republican Party agrees with the president, whichever word is used.
Others say the president's remarks have been taken out of context, pointing to record employment among African Americans as proof he's not racist, and say that's an achievement Dr. King would have commended.
I do not believe President John Trump is a racist. I mean, look at everything. The economy's up, jobs are up in the black community. The president is working for America, period.
Welcome back. HQ is a live trivia game where hundreds of thousands of players compete for a $10,000 prize. Most players are wiped out in the first few questions. The app is free on Androids and iPhones. Over to you, Henry, real quick for another check of weather.
Hey, we're going straight to our 7-day mild weather by Wednesday, but still cold for tomorrow.
We will see you tomorrow night.